Welcome back to Alice Talks Football and welcome back to a live Manchester United news, transfer news and update show. In today's video, we're going to be discussing all the latest news and injury blow for Xerxes, the Ligt, Heaven. What is the situation on that? There is also rumours that Maino has picked up a knock as well ahead of the Lyon game. We will preview that. Rashford, could he return? How good was Marcus Rashford in that second half versus PSG? He loves the game versus PSG, and I generally believe that he would have scored that goal if he was not subbed off to get Villa into extra time and potentially go through, because the minute Rashford was subbed off, everything went. He was the outlet. And the thing about Marcus Rashford is when he's not in form, it's oh no. But when he's in form, when he's in the zone, there's Rashford when he's on it. On his day, he's a different level. And if Rashford is on it and on his day, you don't sub him off because he's so dangerous. But Ruben Amorim surely will be impressed with that Rashford performance. Could he go? Is his relationship done and severed at United? Matheus Cunha, Manchester United want Matheus Cunha. More news linking Matheus Cunha to Manchester United, but also updates from yesterday's and the day before's news about Cunha willing to pick Manchester United over other clubs, Newcastle, Forest, clubs interested in Cunha, but reportedly he wants Manchester United. We're going to get into all the Cunha news that's come out over the last week. I think because we're playing Wolves at the weekend, things will heat up in that sense. Trust him to score against us on Sunday. Updates on Delap. I've always said I believe Chelsea are favourites for Delap, but some sources say United are. United looking at Onana replacements. Could the Onana nightmare end with Saudi interest? What is the latest on Onana? Lindelof and Eriksen set to leave. United are looking at Edison of Atalanta. Lots of reports from Italy heavily linking us to him. So there's a lot to talk about in today's show. I'm going to take a swig of water because I powered through that intro. And then we're going to get into the news. Right. So let's start with the injury news, the injury blows. The Ligt, Heaven and Xerxes were not in training today, said Simon Stones. Heaven has suffered a small setback. There's also rumours that Maino's been carrying a knock as well. Now, Aiden Heaven's such a shame because he was so good and he's obviously suffered that injury and maybe just not quite back from it yet, which is a shame. Matheus de Ligt, a big loss because I think in those last 2 months before he got injured, he was doing really well at United. I think Maguire stepped up fine, but I thought de Ligt was going through some really good form. And Joshua Xerxes is probably the biggest loss of the three because it means Højlund will play. And when you haven't got Cheeto to play and you haven't got anybody else to play, Højlund will play. And Højlund at this moment in time isn't playing particularly well. That's not to say that he won't play well on Thursday. He could. He actually has a good record in the Europa League, but he's not in his best form and he's looked a little bit out of it. So Joshua Xerxes is expected to probably be out for the remainder of the season. He could be back in May for like a couple of games, but he's probably going to be out for the remainder of the season. Hamstring injuries usually take 6 weeks, but you don't know. If it's a 4-week injury, a 3-week injury, we could have him back. De Ligt is out injured for the Lyon game. It's believed he's still suffering a knock. We haven't got big details on De Ligt's injury. United are keeping it very hush-hush, but there is an expectation he will play again this season. Oh, sorry. I'm about to sneeze. Sorry, I just got a sneeze this morning. Yeah. Continuing on. So we don't actually have news on De Ligt and his injury, but it's expected to not be a season ender like Ahmad's before was a season ender, like Xerxes is probably a season ender, which is frustrating. As Alex said here, injuries really adding up late. Had our problems before, but only making things worse. Yeah, the injuries seem to definitely be stacking up. And you know what's annoying? I don't want any of our players to get injured, but it's the players that are doing well. Ahmad is in unreal form, gets injured. Lenny Euro was in unreal form and he picked up a little injury. Luckily, he came back. De Ligt was in really good form, gets injured. Heaven was looking really good, gets injured. Now, I'm not saying I want certain players to get injured. I obviously don't want any of our players to get injured. But like the out of form underperformers are fine. It's the players that are doing well in form that we need seems to be the ones that are getting injured. That's more frustrating. Now, it's one of those where Aiden Heaven, De Ligt, Euro, hopefully, be back soon. Obviously, Euro is now back, sorry, but Eindhoven and De Ligt hopefully back soon. Hopefully Xerxes isn't a season ender. If we can, I think, do you know what? If we beat Lyon, I think we could have Ahmad back for the semi-final. I think we could have Ahmad back for the second semi-final. He's not in team training yet, but he's on grass training. He's on that way back. I think we could have Ahmad back for the semi, and that would be massive. Because I'd like to see Xerxes left 10, Ahmad right 10. I'd quite like to see that. Or actually, probably Xerxes striker, Ahmad right 10, Mount left 10, maybe. I don't know. I think it would just be interesting to see in that sense, but I don't think we will. But I'm going to get into some more news and stories. I would have Rasmus with a good dressing room attitude than Rashford with all the dramas, says Al. But we are going to talk about Rashford and his performance for Villa. But Rashford, I don't think, has ever been an issue in the dressing room. I think he just was falling out of love with United. Rashford is a confidence, he's a mentality player. Now, this was said by someone like Custom Rashford. Marcus Rashford has never been happier during his loan spell at Villa. A source close to Rashford says he has benefited from a change of scenery. Rashford also appreciated Villa coach Unai Emery's man management. Now, let's not get it wrong. Rashford probably needed to leave Manchester United in January. It was probably the best thing for him. I don't know if he would have put up those kind of performances for us. I think he needed a change of environment and scenery. It kind of got toxic between Manchester United and Rashford. A lot of fans had turned on him. It just wasn't working. He clearly didn't get on with Amarin, and I think Rashford clearly needed that change in scenery. And at Aston Villa, he's got that, and I don't think he'd be playing this well at Manchester United had he have stayed. But I do think that Marcus Rashford is better than Højlund. He's better than Garnacho. I don't believe that he's a troublemaker, but I believe that Marcus Rashford is a player where a lot of it's in his head. Marcus Rashford, when he's in form, when he's on it, like there's nobody better than him. Honestly, well, there is, but there's very few people better than him. He's one of the top 5 wingers in the world on his day, but we haven't seen that Marcus Rashford at United for a very long time. So I think he needed to go and get that back in him, get that passion and love for the game back in him. But it is really frustrating when you see Rashford putting in that performance for Aston Villa and how good he's been. And, you know, you see it with a lot of players that leave United, and it just shows that the environment and the lack of organisation at United is clearly a problem for player development. And this is why I don't like this, let's sign this youth player, sign that youth player. I'm all for signing youth players, but we need some experienced players to come in that know the system, that are ready-made, so we can create the environment for younger players, because there is this toxic environment. Anthony's doing really well. Rashford's doing really well. You know, McTominay is one of Napoli's best players, and I think some of it comes down to lack of organisation. You know, we've got players of different profiles that suit different systems more, and they go to another club and they look better. They go to another league and it's less physical. But it's, you put Rashford in the right environment, the right mindset. There's a very good player there. And right now, let's be honest, for the Europa League, we'd all start Rashford left 10. If we had a choice, we'd start Rashford over Garnacho. A lot of people back then said that Garnacho's better than Rashford, but he's never been better than Rashford. You know, he might have looked like he wanted to be at Manchester United more than Rashford, but as a player, Garnacho's never been better than Rashford. And it's frustrating when you're paying some of Rashford's wages for him to do well at Villa and boost Villa's season when we can't score goals, when we've only got Højlund and Garnacho as our only fit attackers. And everyone's blaming Ruben Amorim for it, and you can't blame Ruben Amorim. I think Rashford needed to go, and Ineos were aware of that. He needed that change of environment. It's not Ruben Amorim's fault that Rashford went and he wasn't replaced. It was those at the top of the club that made that decision. Now, could Rashford return to United? Potentially. There is a chance he could return, because we're not going to make a load of money off Rashford going, because we'll have to pay his wages for him to leave. So I think there's a possibility Rashford could return, but I think because he's a good player, there will be a lot of interest in Marcus Rashford in the summer, not just from Villa. I wouldn't be shocked if I think Arsenal are going to go for Rashford. I think Barcelona, if they can get the funds, will go for Rashford. I think there'll be a lot of Rashford interest in the summer. PSG maybe, but I don't think they actually need Rashford. When you've got Desiree Doué, Dembele, Barcola, and Kvaratskhelia that are all good wingers, what's the point of getting Rashford when he's not a striker? But I think there's going to be a lot of clubs interested in Rashford in the summer, and I believe he will go. But I do look at it, and there was a report yesterday that Manchester United would only make about 20 million off a Rashford sale because they'd have to pay out his wages and his contract. What's the point? I don't know. I don't think it's worth getting rid of Rashford if you're only going to make 20 million for it, when he offers a lot more than that. In my opinion. But would he perform as well at United as he would at other clubs? That is the big question. I would like Marcus Rashford right now at Manchester United. I'd like him for this Europa League game, but obviously that can't happen. But it's a situation where something's gone down with him and Amorim, who'll probably have to go. Rashford is better than Garnacho, isn't saying much, but Garnacho's definitely got a lot of potential. Big reset needed in the summer. I think Man United's plan is Rashford gone, Anthony gone, Sancho gone, and get the funds in to invest as well. I think that's what it is. Alice, my number one go-to for good reporting, very fair with her comments. Keep it up. Appreciate that. United, my dream. So we need Edison, Cunha, Delap, and a few unknowns to improve. I like that, but I do worry about Edison. I like Edison, but it's like I don't like him with Agate. I like him with someone that's more progressive. I might do a watch along tomorrow. I'll see how I feel. Rashford just cooked PSG. He did. Would you rather have Rashford or Rasmus? Well, obviously Rashford. I mean, Rashford's not striker, but he's better than Rasmus. And I don't believe that Rashford was a troublemaker. Not worth to sell for that low unless negotiate a much lower payout. Yeah. Like, there's no point. For me, if we're only going to make 20 million off a Rashford sale, it doesn't seem like the best thing to do. Now, I do want to talk about the Cunha story. I do want to talk about a few other updates because we've already spoken about Rashford and the situation. But Cunha obviously wants Manchester United and, would rather join Man United than other clubs. So let's talk about the news on Matheus Cunha because there's about 4 or 5 stories coming out. Someone said, would I take Watkins? I'd take him over Højlund any day of the week, but I think there's better options out there, to be honest, as well. So let's talk about Cunha. There's a lot of stories coming out. Manchester United would have to sell at least one senior player to afford Cunha. Rashford, along with Sancho and Antony, is candidate for sale. Højlund and Garnacho could also be sold if an acceptable bid is received. Man United want Rashford, Antony, Sancho gone. Boom. Delap and Cunha in. That's probably United's plan. They're open to selling Højlund. Højlund's agent, actually, and I don't know if I can say who's told me this because I won't say who's told me this because I don't know if he wants to be named, but I spoke to somebody and he said that Højlund's agent was actually at Carrington yesterday or the day before, and that's not something Højlund's agent does. So that's a more indication that Højlund could go as well. So Højlund's agent's been at Carrington. Garnacho almost agreed to leave in January. There's definitely a possibility of Højlund, Garnacho being sold, bringing money in, but also Rashford, Sancho, Antony are the 3 players Man United hoping to offload. If we don't sell anybody, we probably can't afford Cunha. But the good thing is, Cunha wants Manchester United. We've been told by reliable sources he wants Man United. He would pick Man United over these other clubs, and he would say yes to Man United. So all Man United have got to do is raise the funds to buy Cunha because we know that we want him. We know that he wants us. He'll say yes to us. He'd pick us over other clubs. Let's dive into it. So what do we know in regards to the Cunha deal and stories? And this is from Laurie Whitwell. That's a very credible source of information. Manchester United would need to factor in Matheus Cunha's wages, thought to be in the region of 150k a week at Wolves, as per terms of his newly signed deal. The expected departure of Johnny Evans, Victor Lindelof, Eriksen and Heaton should free up wages if United can stay financially disciplined. So this is talking about United's possibility of signing Cunha from a financial side. We need to sell players, but with the players leaving, we should have the wages. We should be able to financially do the Cunha deal. But the big question is, Man United crap. We're not in Europe. There was a report that Cunha only wanted to play for European teams. But now reports are coming out saying he would pick us over Newcastle. He'd pick us over Forest. He'd say yes to Manchester United. Let's dive into these reports. Newcastle have contacted Cunha's representatives to gauge his interest, but Cunha would prefer to join Man United. So Ben Jacobs is saying, look, Newcastle are interested, but he would pick Man United. Newcastle had inquired in recent weeks about the situation of Cunha, but the player will leave Wolves this summer, and the idea is to join Man United a Big Six club with Manchester United as a big favourite, was another story that's been said. And also, many reports have revealed that Cunha wants Manchester United and will say yes to a move, with Ben Jacobs also adding that Cunha is very much open to a move to Manchester United and would rather go to Manchester United than Forest, or, as he said earlier, Newcastle. As he stands, he would pick us over them. And Laurie Whitwell said that Cunha is regarded at Manchester United as a player at his peak who could make an instant impact by adding more experience than a younger profile of the recruit they are prioritising. So this is just a few of the many stories on Cunha. I'm going to get into more on what was said in a second. But what we know is Manchester United like Cunha. Manchester United are financially looking at Cunha, how possible it is, believe they can do the deal. Newcastle and Forest also like Cunha. Tottenham also like Cunha. But I didn't get that report up. I'll get that report up later. But he would pick Man United over those clubs, and he would say yes to Manchester United if we're able to finance the deal, which there is a belief we should be able to. We should be able to. Kelly says, my honest belief is this is pure speculation. Let's not get too excited in case disappointment's waiting. 100%. How many times have we told a story and then we find out a month later that actually we've been given these stories? You have to take every bit of news with a pinch of salt. Now, Cunha likes United. He's always flirted with the idea of joining Manchester United. I believe that Cunha wants to join Manchester United and would pick us and would say yes to us. But you always have to take the media and news with a pinch of salt. We get linked to 100 players. We get told this story, get told that story. You know, this doesn't mean we're signing Cunha. This doesn't mean we're going to get Cunha. All this is saying is that United like Cunha and he'd be willing to pick Man United and say yes to Manchester United. That's not saying he will pick us, and that's not saying he will say yes to us. But it's saying, you know, if we get the funds sorted and go for Cunha, they believe he'll say yes to us. They believe he'll pick us. That's sort of what's being reported. And it's believed that we are going to do what we can to bring Cunha in. And there is a strong belief behind the scenes that United are going to get Cunha. There is a strong belief that he's going to pick Manchester United and he will pick us. But we have to get the finances to do that deal. So we do like Cunha. But of course, I can't say for sure that Cunha's going to join Man United. That would be lying. You know, Cunha may pick us, Cunha may say yes to us, but we also need to do the finances to sort that deal. Yeah. And Alex said, and some players genuinely want to join us, but are put off by waiting around. This is the thing. If we wait around with Cunha because we need to sell this player and sell that player, Cunha's not going to wait around for too long because he wants out of Wolves. So he's not going to wait around for too long. And if we start divvying, he might go elsewhere. But if Manchester United get their act together, sell, raise the funds and go for Cunha, it is believed that he will. It is believed that he will pick United. That's what is believed behind the scenes by reliable sources, also reported. Now, again, we are linked to 1 million players. We are told that we're going to sign this player, that player. We were told we were going to sign Frankie de Jong. We didn't sign Frankie de Jong. You know, we get told that we're going to do this. We get told we're going to do that, and we don't do it. We were told that we're going to sign Yuri and Timber. You know, you have to remember that until it is done, you can't get excited about a deal. It is. Right now, there's a confidence that United can get Cunha and Cunha will be a Man United player. But we are in April. We're not going to be making moves for at least another 2 months. So I will say that, you know, I'm not saying we're going to sign Cunha. I'm not saying anything is done. Nothing is done. You know, we can't do anything until the season's over. We know our funds. We know who we're going to sell. But Delap and Cunha are 2 players that United have a bit of confidence about that they can do it. Now, I still think that Liam Delap will probably go to Chelsea, but it is interesting. I mean, look, people say Cunha isn't picking United. Well, apparently he wants us over Newcastle and Forest. He doesn't suit Tottenham's system, but they might get a new manager if they get Glasner or someone he does. He doesn't suit what Arsenal want. I don't even think he suits what Eddie Howe needs, to be honest. You know, I think he suits our system to a T. I think he suits our system to a T. And he's always flirted with the idea of United. Naipan to Villa. Yeah, that's one to watch. We'll talk about that in a minute. But let's continue into some more stories. So if you know me and have been following my channel, you'll know I'm a big fan of Cunha. Here are like reasons why I've always felt that Cunha could be that perfect signing for United. So, able to produce something out of nothing, contributes to goals and assists from open play despite being his poor side. What I like about Cunha is he's got that thing about him that Cole Palmer did before he dropped off a couple of months ago that Bruno has done, where even if the team around you isn't performing, he can go and bring that individual brilliance. And I think we lack that individual brilliance because the team at Man United isn't great, but we lack outside of Bruno, and Rashford used to do it, but he's obviously gone. Players that can just score a goal and come up with that moment to score a goal or create a goal. We lack that individual brilliance, particularly in the final third, which is costing us. So having a player that has that individual brilliance in the final third and also proven that it's not a system player, it's not a Phil Foden where he needs everything around them to be good. Like proven he can do it by himself. He's not a system player in a poor Premier League side that's been out of form, contributing goals and assists. That's perfect. He's also 26. He's also at his peak. It's not another young player. It's someone that comes in. He's a strong ball carrier. Amorim wants his number 10s to be ball carriers. He's not looking at pass first 10s. He's looking at carry first 10s. And Cunha's one of the best ball carriers. But also, Cunha's best form at Wolves came as playing as a left-sided number 10. Other clubs are looking at Cunha as a left winger. Like Newcastle are looking at Cunha as a left winger that could also be back up to Isak. Like, he's not a left winger. He is a left-sided 10. He can play left wing. He can play centre forward. He can play striker. But his best role is that left 10 role where he is that number 10. And that suits Amorim's system really well. So you've got a player in his prime, scoring goals for a poor side that wants to come, there's a ball carrier that suits what Amram wants to a T. Like, 62 million, there's questions over his personality, this and that. But on paper, Cunha is that perfect. And look, Cunha Delap Turkey could be like 120 million quid, which is crazy. Crazy good business. Crazy good business. And that would sort out the attack. I mean, there's a lot of talk about Cunha to Tottenham, but I think he'd go to United over Tottenham. I mean, Man United and Tottenham are in the same position. Cunha and Gibbs White at Forest would be nasty. It would be. Why would someone want to come to Man United about Champions League? They're finished because we're Man United. People always want to come to us, and I think we'd be picked over Tottenham because considering Tottenham are in the same position as us. But Cunha, Delap, Turkey are good. Someone said 8th at best. I mean, 8th was a lot better than where we are now, though. Funds are tight to sign Cunha, left cam type, and proper striker upgrade. If could do a loan with obligation would allow an extra signing, I agree, or a deal that we could pay later on. It's definitely difficult in that sense. Everyone does loans or obligations when they come and buy our players. Why can't we do that with other clubs? Why can't we sort out a loan with an obligation or an option? We have a link to Milinkovic-Savic's brother, who was once in the Manchester United academy, interestingly. But I don't know if there's much in it, but I did see that report earlier. I do want to talk about goalkeeping news. But big up everybody in the chat. Big up Diego, 100 likes. Let's go for 200 likes. Big up everybody in the chat. But I like Cunha, but it's about the funds. I think we don't get Cunha if we faff. Cunha's not going to wait around for ages. He wants out of Wolves. If we faff, we won't get Cunha. But we know that Cunha will say yes to us. And we know Cunha will pick us over other teams. So if we go and we get business done and we sell players and we have the money, we make the move for Cunha, I think we'll get Cunha. He likes United. He prefers us to Forest. He prefers us to Newcastle. A lot of people say he's open to joining United. So we know that. Now it's about making sure we sell players and get the funds ready so we can make a move for Cunha early. Because he won't wait around. Just because he likes Man United doesn't mean he's going to reject other clubs. If a big club comes in for him, he's going to look at it. Maybe offer Wolves a couple of academy lads on loan. Sweeten the deal, potentially, yeah. Who do you think would work well at Wolves on loan? Collier and Morehouse are the only ones I could see them going for. Morehouse hasn't got any experience yet. Chido, I think, would need a championship loan more than a Premier League loan. Cunha wants to sign a Big Six club. There's a difference between top 6 and Big 6. Top 6 are the top 6 clubs right now. So the teams that are in the top 6. Big 6 are the biggest 6 clubs. When they say Big 6, they're talking about the biggest 6 clubs in England, which really are Manchester United and Tottenham. When they talk about top 6 isn't United because we're not in the top 6. But the Big 6, we are in the Big 6. So, if he wants to join a Big 6 club, he's talking about Man United. Are Newcastle a top 6 club? Yes. But are they a Big 6 club? No. That's what I mean. Newcastle are a lot better than us. They're in the top 6. But they're not considered a Big 6 club. I think it will be the Big 7 with Newcastle's Saudi rebuild soon. But that's what I mean. I'd send Amas on loan. Maybe Amas with Aït-Nouri potentially going. Maybe you could offer Wolves something in return, sweeten them. So let's see what else was said. Apparently United are current favourites to sign Delap. However, they will face plenty of competition as Arsenal understood to be the only Premier League club not interested in Liam Delap. Was interesting and said by Chris Wheeler. I think Arsenal will go for Sesko or Gyökeres, and I think Arsenal are quite confident they'll get one of them. They want someone a bit more experienced than Delap. So I said Delap isn't good enough. I would go for Victor Osimhen or Gyökeres over Delap, but Delap for £30 million, I'm not turning my nose up at that. If United are a mid-table team, unfortunately we are right now, but we're still a Big 6 club. Villa will be a top 6 club of their own now. Yeah, Villa and Newcastle could easily break into the traditional Big 6. Delap or Foylan on loan, potentially. Cunha is Elise all over again. Do you know what? This is a very good comment. So Elise wanted Manchester United last season, but the only reason we were going to be able to get Elise is if we'd have sold Greenwood quickly and we'd have sold Sancho quickly. But the fact that we couldn't offload Sancho and Greenwood was a difficult deal to do. Wait, what? Sorry. Continuing on. But you make a point. We were told this time last year that Man United wanted Elise. He was a top target, and Elise was open to United. There was this race for Elise. Newcastle went for him, Chelsea went for him, Bayern went for him. He ended up going for Bayern. But if Manchester United had sold Greenwood at the start of the window and sold Sancho at the start of the window and had funds for Elise, we would have made a move for Elise in the summer. And there was a belief that Elise would have picked us. So Cunha could be that same situation. I think you're really right. We've always been told that Elise would pick United. He would choose United. He wants Manchester United. He was following us online. He was flirting with Man United. But then he realised he wasn't going to get that Manchester United move. Do you know what I mean? He wasn't going to get it because we didn't have the finances to do it. We didn't offload Anthony. We couldn't offload Sancho. Greenwood took ages to sort out. So he went to Bayern because he wanted to make sure he left Palace because he didn't want to be at Palace next season. He wanted to go to a bigger club because he knows he can play for a bigger club. Cunha is the same situation as Elise. We might have been told that Cunha would pick Man United over this club and that club. We might be told that Cunha would say yes to United. We were told that Elise would say yes to United. But it comes down to United, how quick they move for him, and all of that. And I think Cunha could very much be another Elise situation, but we feel like it's a player we're going to get, but we just can't make those moves. Plenty of deals were locked on that. Yeah. Divering killed, including Elise. Yeah, Branthwaite and Elise were two players we thought we were going to sign. We thought we were going to sign going into last summer, and we didn't get them. Branthwaite we would have been mugged off for, to be fair. Onana must stay. They wanted 75 million for Sesko. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. Arsenal's new director of football is brilliant. I'm sure they're bringing a quality 9. I think they will. But let's continue on. Manchester United have shortlisted 4 goalkeepers for this summer to replace Onana with Suzuki, Costa, Verbruggen, and Maganen, who's always injured. I think we should look at John Garcia. I think we should look at Lemens, and I think we should look at Lucas Chevalier. I think they were the other ones we're looking at. But I think Manchester United want a new goalkeeper. I think the constant links this last month to goalkeeper this, goalkeeper that, goalkeeper this, goalkeeper that, says to me that I think United want a new goalkeeper. And I think Onana could go. But I've always said this, Onana's only going to leave for Saudi. Because Man United have 26 million on Onana's book value. They will not sell Onana for less than 26 million. There's a lot of interest in Onana from Saudi, and Saudi are the only teams that probably have that money to spend that on Onana. The question is, will Onana go? I think if Saudi offer him a big contract and we're not in the Champions League next season, I think he will go. I think if we're in the Champions League next season and his wages go up, maybe he'll stay. Laurie Whitwell, a very credible journalist, did say this. The position of goalkeeper has not been on the agenda for United to this point. Striker is the priority, plus perhaps attacking another attacker, a midfielder, and a wing-back. But faith in Onana is now eroding due to mistakes in pivotal moments after Amorim gave him space to disconnect. There's a feeling around the club that lasting speculation could be explored by both sides. There's a feeling now that Onana could be exploring an exit, and Manchester United now exploring Onana replacements, which is what we're probably doing. You know, that is news coming in. It was also so. The screen's disconnected. I've lost my screen. Bear with me. Why did that disconnect, man? It's this screen, right? Okay. Cool. We're back. There you go. Sorry, screen disconnected there. Onana doesn't know whether he will be recalled against Lyon on Thursday. Bayendier was unconvincing during his addition to St James's Park, but sources have indicated that Onana is unsure he will be recalled to the starting team to face Lyon. So again, said by Samuel Luckhurst and Stephen Railston that Onana doesn't know whether he'd be recalled versus Lyon. Onana's having doubts over his future, worries over his future. United and Onana now starting to explore exits. Onana's agent was at Carrington this week. Some say it was because originally he brought in a new agent to try and get higher wages. His agent is now coming in, maybe discussing the possibility of a move. With Amorim coming in, Onana was a Ten Hag signing. He wasn't Amorim signing. There was sort of talks and feelings at United that, you know, this could be the end of Onana, the end of his sort of nightmare at United. Romano did also sort of talk about the situation, and he said he's not aware that United have any interest in Ramsdale. Good. But he said the goalkeeper situation, it depends on what happens with Onana. It's early. I think that's Romano basically saying, if Man United can get offers for Onana, and if Onana's open to leaving, United are happy to replace him. I think Romano's basically saying Onana's got 26 million on his book value. Man United can't sell Onana unless they get £26 million. So that basically depends on if Saudi are willing to bid £26 million for Onana, and if Onana's willing to leave Manchester United for Saudi, and then United will get a new goalkeeper. I think that's Romano's way of saying United want to offload Onana, but it's complicated. I think that's the situation with Onana. If I was going to be totally honest, I think we want to offload him, but I do think the deal could be pretty complicated. Let's continue on into a few more stories. It was said that Christian Eriksen and Victor Lindelof will leave Manchester United when the season ends, and that many clubs from the Serie A, Bundesliga, Premier League, Saudi Arabian Pro League, and MLS are all interested. And apparently that Manchester United are ahead of Man City in the race for Atalanta for the star Edison, in the race for Atalanta star Edison. And apparently there's been intensifying contacts with the players' entourage over a potential deal. And Amran's side have hinted they're willing to negotiate with the Serie A club. Interestingly, Murta is now at Atalanta. He must have been undercover with the Højlund deal. Only joking. But there's talk about us being interested in Edison from Atalanta. I like Edison of Atalanta. I don't know if he works with Agate, but I think instead of Agate, he works. Edison and a progressive midfielder, Agate and a progressive midfielder works. But because of the lack of progressive midfielders, I don't know if he works with Agate, but I do like the player. I'd be very happy if we signed Edison, but I do have questions of if it works. Please, are you sure Cunha's coming to United? I mean, I've never said Cunha's coming to United. It's like the Elise deal. Cunha would pick United of other clubs. Cunha will say yes to United, but United need to sell and get the funds for Cunha. We couldn't do that with Elise. The Cunha deal was like the Elise deal. If United can sort their selling and their funds and everything, I think there's a strong possibility it happens. That's the Cunha situation. Do you think we could get 30 million for Onana from Saudi? Potentially. They got a lot of money out there. But I'm not confident of it. Big up Diego. Yeah, it'd be interesting. Anyway, this was obviously the news there. Ahmad and Shaw in training, but Ahmad is training separately from the team because he's just not quite ready yet. A centre-back DM and CM and DCM needed once middle sorted. Our wing-backs will play confidently. I think we need a right wing-back, a centre-back, a progressive midfielder, a 10, and a striker. How big is the mic? So it's not that big, actually. I've seen people with bigger mics. So carry it around a bit. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching today's live show. What I'm going to do is I'm going to redirect you all to Never a Foul. So Kaz over on Never a Foul has got a panel talking all things football. So go raid their channel. I'm going to redirect you there now. Go say Alice sent you in the chat. Go support Kaz's live stream. Thank you for watching. Bye.